click on register and create an account, and then we'll get you into Course Shell after you go through those steps. Okay.
STUD
Yeah.
to the beginning of your account
Thank you.
name.
Thanks for the reminder.
Awesome. These workshops so I can give you the access you need. STUD, just so I know.
Like stud.
Yeah.
Short for studio, you know.
Would that be in front of the user?
Yes. Yeah, should be fine. So once you've created an account, let me know. You should be on a page that looks like this, Studio Home. And then we'll create a new course from there. So were you able to create an account? Okay. So go ahead and create a new course, and I'll walk through the steps. Okay, perfect. So just hold up there for a second. How about you guys are good with creating an account? Is it? Okay. Yeah, it's a little. There's a few steps to go through to get it set up. So.
Sorry, what's the URL again?
Oh yeah, sorry. Let me go back. Yep. Yeah. Here you go. So when you get to the Studio homepage, go ahead and click a new course, and then we'll hold up there for a second. So, are you able to? Did it let you log in? Okay. Oh yeah. So log in again. Sign in. Yeah. So there's it's sort of slow to catch up on people's access. Okay. Okay. You're on that page. Great. Okay. So I'll just hold up 1 minute or so. That's why I asked Chelsea to please come, please come. And we'll just have everyone get to this point. You click new course, and we'll just hold up here for a sec.
I didn't get the verification.
You will not get an email. I just did it on my end, magic style. So what you do is refresh. You can sign out, refresh, and then instead of register, sign in on that one. And you will be a verified staff.
Okay, so I should send out an
Yeah. Yeah, that makes you a verified staff user.
That's great. Thank you, Chelsea. Okay, so you're all set. How are you doing? You're good? Yeah, you're in. Yeah, yeah. So you're just going to pick up where we left off. Perfect. Okay. But you're able to find the course again and all that. Okay, good. And you're just going to
Yeah, I'm gonna log in.
log in. Okay, perfect. I love all these phone users. We're testing the boundaries. I know. Exactly. Exactly.
Should be exposed.
You guys are brave.
Okay. So the other option is we're just going to go through the back end, and this is again the standoff being handy. So remove everything after item. So this will go into elements.
And how are you doing? You were able to get in?
See if that works.
All right. So you have.
And there's a
Perfect.
way to
Okay.
get it.
Awesome. We'll do quick.
Stand by.
Yeah. Good. Fabulous.
The Redwood's brand new. So
Yeah.
It's very new, shiny new. I'm still figuring out all the new features. I'm like,
yeah.
this was different a while ago. So.
Let me know if you're.
So while we're just finishing up, why don't we just do a quick round of introductions? We're a small enough group that we can do that. So I can start off by introducing myself. My name is Ildi Morris, and I'm the founder of Morris Learning Design, which is a firm of one, me. And I do learning design consulting for large companies like Pearson Education, all the way down to small startups that want to create a course as part of their marketing strategy, and higher ed, and everything in between. So before I went off my own about 6 years ago, I actually worked at edX, and I was heading up the partner training and enablement program, basically doing what I'm doing today. You get a new course team at edX. I train them up on how to use the software, learning design best practices, and then and before that I worked in corporate and academic online learning for 15 years. So anyway, then have a variety of backgrounds. So let's go around and get to know each other a little bit better. And if you also wouldn't mind adding, like if you already know Studio, the basics, and you're here to learn a bit more, or if this is brand new, that would be helpful as well. Would you like to start? Your name and where you're from? And all
Yeah.
that?
Hi everyone. Name is Kagisho, most commonly known as KG. I am the co-founder of a platform called Matric Live in South Africa, based here. Effectively, what we've built is an online gaming platform for high school learners. It has done quite well in the public curriculum space. However, because the life cycle is only 3 years, what we find is that we currently sitting with a dormant database of over 850,000 learners, because after they finish high school, there's nothing more to do on our platform. So we are thinking about what does life look like for the learner beyond Matric. And there's this current exploration. Kind of background, I'm a former investment banker. Left investment banking last year, June, to kind of venture into edtech full time. So it's been about a year.
Wow.
and yeah, but we've had the platform since 2019, and it's been used by over 1.5 million South African learners so far. So
It's
yeah,
amazing.
we're
That's
looking
great.
for life after that. And so yeah, we're definitely new to this, as and when we are trying to map out user journeys, be it for our old user base or for the current ones, what happens once they finish high school.
Gotcha. And have you used Studio before, or is this your first time?
First time.
Okay, all right, excellent.
Hi everybody. You guys can probably hear me okay. My name's Alistair. The recording, okay. My name's Alistair. I'm from a company called Under the Influence, and we are a drinks distributor in Africa. So we work in about 25 countries in Africa, and part of our business is providing customers with a support tools for their hospitality and retail outlets. So we've built a full online university to enable waiters, bartenders, other individuals who work in the space in Africa, who are very underserved in terms of education tools, to participate in a complementary learner journey where we take them from very junior level all the way up to sommelier level. It's all on a bursary basis. So we use Open edX for all of our education platform needs, and I've got our development team in the sort of more technical sessions next door. I have used Studio, and just always interested to see updates and what's happening. Yeah, so
Great.
Thanks very much for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Alistair.
Hi, I'm Dirk. I'm from a non-profit called Peer-to-Peer University. P2PU started about 15 years ago, so kind of, I guess, the same time when the whole MOOC movement started and all of that. These days, we don't focus so much on content, but we focus more on a little bit of learning design consulting, but then also facilitator training and specifically working with public libraries and helping them take online courses that's being offered by other people and present that as a structured program for adult learners in the library.
Very
Yes.
cool, thank you.
Hi, I'm Dave Ormsby. I'm a software developer at Axum Collaborative, and mostly I'm here as a fly on the wall. I'm curious. So I've definitely used Studio, and I've coded a lot for Studio.
Great.
Hello, I'm Albeiro Gonzalez from Colombia. I do have experience with Studio, and I'm just attending to see a new way of creating characters or any recommendations you might have. I have a couple of years using Studio, actually.
Great, thank you, welcome.
Hi, I'm Chelsea. I'm from Axum Collaborative. I'm relatively new to the education technology space. I've been at Axum since October, so I'm really excited to learn more about Studio from ILD today as well. And I'm also curious to see what questions you guys come up with.
Hi, I'm Naveen Karkera. I'm from OpenCraft, which basically provides customization and hosting options for OpenEdX. And I'm a core contributor now, so I've been working for last 2 years, and I definitely have some experience in Studio as well as LMS.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so everyone's used Studio for you. So I might have Chelsea join you, just because we covered a lot this morning, but I have no doubt you'll catch on very quick. So I'm just going to carry on, do a few slides. So you'll see that my approach is very hands-on. There will not be a whole lot of PowerPoint slides, I promise. We spend most of the time on our machines actually, working in Studio and building things out. So I am going to, though, like this afternoon, the morning session was very much like, click here, click there. This is how you make the course outline. The afternoon session is going to be definitely some of that, but I'm also trying to do it from the lens of learning design best practices. So, and then after we sort of cover that, and I'm going to show you how to use some of these features that map to some of these learning design best practices, then we'll talk a few minutes at the end about some of the newer features and functionality in Redwood, and Chelsea's going to help with that. So, so you could take a PhD on learning design best practices, but for the purposes of this workshop, I kind of boiled it down to these 4 points that I believe in. So I know there's a lot of really cool tools out there You know, like there's a tool for everything and AI is going to change the world and all that. But I still believe in the fundamentals and, you know, like the greatest tool in the world isn't going to help learners if it doesn't sort of meet some core criteria. So, you know, courses need to have clear communication. They need to have active learning opportunities. They need to have, well, not always, but it helps to have social learning or some opportunity for community. And it should have variable forms of assessment to really sort of evaluate the learner in different ways. And good idea to move to the side. You can definitely see much better. So, you know, in terms of clear communication, that's really just putting information in the course that's clear, concise, makes sense. Language is straightforward. The language is written for the educational level of the learner. You know, we don't need to like overcomplicate language. That's a pet peeve of mine. But essentially, there's a variety of places where you can actually convey clear communication in the course. The course introduction and the units, which we covered this morning, which is basically just the content in the course. Course updates, custom pages, and then also learner emails. So we're going to go over how to do course updates and how to add custom pages into your course to sort of help support that. The second area of active learning, I think, is definitely an area that Open edX is very good at, certainly compared to other LMSs out there. I do think this is a differentiator, this ability to like pull in third-party tools, build X blocks that do things that aren't already there. And so, you know, in terms of learning design best practices, it's always a good idea, if possible, to help ensure that some of the content requires some activity from the learner. You know, I work with a lot of clients who, they just want to build videos. You know, everything's a video. I'm like, you know what? Not everything needs to be a video. Like this could be text, followed by a video, followed by something else. So I really encourage learning designers to kind of like think about how they can build a course that requires some level of interaction. Also to chunk the content into palatable pieces. Nobody wants to sit and watch a 45-minute video if they can avoid it, you know. So, you know, break it up into, you know, a few 10-minute sections and have some active learning in between. And then in terms of what we're going to cover in the platform, so providing a variety of content, including video, text, discussion, and interactive elements. So I certainly can't show you everything that's possible, but I will show you a few things that are quick and easy that I think will help do that. So for example, we're going to put in a word cloud. It's the fastest, easiest tool to put in. Doesn't mean you should absolutely use it, but if you're looking for something that's not graded, that you know, this makes sense for your content, I'll show you how to do that. Then the third area is social learning, and I know not every client can support discussion forums. That's sort of like terrifying for a lot of clients to hear, like, oh my gosh, I have to moderate a discussion forum and what's going to happen, you know. But if possible, it does really add another element to the course and to the depth of learning, to give learners an opportunity to discuss with their peers or in a cohort or however you want to set it up, and feel like they're not sort of alone in the online learning journey. It's nice to feel like there's a human behind the screen. So I will go over how to add discussion forums and just sort of a few best practices around that as well. And just to give you an example, I worked on a course with a client on unconscious bias, and you know, they were sort of asked to, like, there was a whole separate assignment that they had to do in Google Sheets, and they had to copy and paste it and bring it over. And so the setup here was people would like post examples of unconscious bias and sentences that reflect that, and then people could respond to, yes, I can relate to that, or no, I can't, or this is what it is for me. So it's a good opportunity to share content and give feedback on it. And then finally, the other area is different forms of assessment. So we went over some of the more basic assessments this morning. And so what I want to do is spend a little time on some of the more advanced assessments. So we're going to take a look at the drag and drop, the open response assessment, which also includes self-assessment, peer assessment, and instructor assessment. And it's really an assessment focused on you know, a writing sample and how do you give feedback on writing. And there actually aren't that many opportunities to do that when it comes to writing in online courses. That's sort of one of those gray areas, so I do want to go over that. There are other tools like peer instruction and some other, X blocks, things you can turn on in the background, that we'll get to a few of those. And by the way, I'm not a techie person, but XBlock is essentially like a standalone tool that if you're a developer, you can build, like anyone can build it, and it can be added to the library of XBlocks, and at some point, Axiom decides to support them or not. So that's why sometimes you'll look at a library of these third-party looking tools, and some will say fully supported or partially supported or not supported. So sort of the risk is on you to introduce an XBlock that's not necessarily fully supported, but there's a lot of developers out there that want to meet a goal or want to build a tool, and they'll build it and they can add it to this list. So that's essentially what an XBlock is. It's just something, a third-party tool or feature you can pull in. You can add to that, Chelsea, if I...
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Data
That's sort of it in a nutshell. So this is an example of what the drag and drop looks like. The other thing I should add about the platform is that the other reason for these sort of supported levels is everything that is supported on Studio and Open edX has to be accessible. It has to be available for people with disabilities to access the course. So this drag and drop, this is like, well, it's not new anymore, but this is like the newer version that is now fully accessible, which is kind of amazing. So it's an example of that. And then at the very end, we will spend some time looking at aspects, and which is sort of the newer feature of Redwood. Okay. That's it for the PowerPoint slides right now. I told you it wouldn't be long. And I'm also very open to hearing from you. So if I start talking about something and it kind of piques your interest, feel free to say to me, hey, I want to learn more about this, I want to learn more about that. If we don't have time during the session, I'm happy to stay after and kind of walk you through whatever it is, if we run out of time, but I will try to accommodate all the questions. Okay, so at this point, we should be at Studio Home. If you were here earlier, you don't have to do this again. You can just sort of stand by. But for those of you who are new, so this information really can't be changed. So for today, it doesn't really matter, but down the line, sort of think ahead about what your naming conventions are going to be. So the course title, you can change that in event settings, so as far as the learner is concerned, they will see an updated title, but everything else is in the URL, and that cannot be changed. So, so for today, you can just put in a course name, and it can be anything. I'm not going to create another one, but it can just be training. You can put your name, whatever. Organization, there's probably going to be a drop down. Just choose like Axiom. It doesn't matter. This is just an environment. If you don't see this drop down, let me know though, because that's a red flag. Everyone see drop down? Okay, good. Course number, again, this is up to your organization, how they want to organize and map to the courses. You know, universities, this is 101, 102, whatever. I'll just put in 101. And then the course run, this is typically the timing that the course is created. So again, this is useful if you have a big catalog of courses and you're like, was this course built in 2022 or 2020? Then if you have the year in here, at least you can see it just by going to the URL. So go ahead and type in 2024, and then when you're done, click Create, and you should have your course show up in this list of Studio Home. You could try again and just choose Axiom or something. Okay, so once you have your course shell created, go ahead and click on it, and you should come to a screen that says course outline at the top. Yeah, okay.
Anyone else need any help?
Is everyone at the course outline?
Raise your hand if
Were you able to create a new course shell?
No, it's my connection, so
Oh no. Okay.
but
Okay.
when we use, I'll take note, so.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay. So we can dismiss the little alert up here, just to clean things up. So does everyone here know how to build out the course outline? Just raise your hand if, I know you don't, but.
Something similar like this.
Yep.
Different elements than one we use for our app.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not completely foreign, I guess. I'm foreign to the OpenX ecosystem, but we've been building courses in like the K-12 space,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen quite a couple.
Have you been using the software or a different software to build the courses?
We actually built our own LMS.
Oh, you did? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
so
Okay.
we've been publishing, like we've been getting learning content directly from the South African government,
Yep.
and we've been building it into in-app courses
Oh, okay.
on our own authentic system. So it's like
Yeah.
yeah, it's good to see best practice as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we followed even the best of practice at times.
Yeah. Well, so while she's doing that, yeah.
I'll
No.
just doing that.
Uh-huh.
Just going to quickly step up. My CTO is blowing up my phone. I need to hear what it's about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No problem.
Yeah.
That's never a good sign when the CTO blows up the phone.
he's blowing up my phone.
If there's nothing coming out on the drop down.
I would go under your name in the upper right-hand corner, go to Studio Home, and it'll probably show that you need to sign in again. It takes a little time to refresh your permission. So let's try that again. And then that looks like you're in the learner dashboard. So we want to go back to the studio. This is always the hardest part. Okay. Okay, yeah, no problem. Thank you. Okay, so you're able to everyone has their course shell, right? Okay. So let's start with adding a course update. So the course update is going to be the first thing that learners see when they come to the front page of your course. So you're going to want to have something there and not necessarily just a blank screen. If you don't have a course update, you'll have the course outline, but it's nice, particularly when kicking off a welcome message. And maybe this is your, you start to brand yourself, you have your logo or whatever. So to add an update, we're going to go under the content menu at the very top and go down to updates. And over here on the right side, there's a button for new update. So, sandbox environments are just great. There we go. Click refresh and it'll be fine. Okay, let's try that again. New update. Okay, well maybe not. It worked yesterday. So. Is it working for you? Okay, good. That's what's important. Let me take a deep breath. Ah. Story of my life. Software training for many years, and you just know something's going to not work. But you guys were able to get to the new update screen? Okay, so you should have a WYSIWYG editor. And so you can go ahead and type in just a short welcome message, like welcome to my course on blah, 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 and you know, I think you can add, let me try it again, a link if you wanted to. I might just try logging out, logging back in. Okay. Anyway, as long as it works for you, that's all that matters. So were you both able to add an update? Okay. Were you able to add an update, or you're still?
No, my phone just broke.
Your phone just broke? Oh, no.
I mean,
Okay.
it's loading. I couldn't connect to the university network, so that's okay.
Okay. Okay. No, that's fine. Okay. So, yeah, sure.
This would an update pop up on the next login for a student?
So that's a good question.
Just to be when they start.
Yeah, so it'll persist unless the learner, I think, collapses it. So once they collapse it, then it'll be collapsed. But until it'll pop up, yeah, like above the course outline. Yeah, so it should pop up like right above.
Okay, so it's a good way to communicate.
Exactly. So a best practice would be, you know, especially if you're writing a course that's like time-based, you know, like every week, weekly update or monthly update. For courses that are not necessarily time-based, you can, even a self-paced course, you could still put in new, you know, updates there. Like, oh my gosh, you know, we had a great discussion, you know, in the forum on this topic, and then you could do a direct link there. So there's other ways that you can like draw engagement that aren't time-based. Yeah, exactly. So that's course update there. And okay, so pretty straightforward, right? We'll move on. So now in terms of the custom page, so let me go over here. So this is viewing the course live. Let's go back to here. So the course outline, we can practice doing this for those who haven't done that a lot. We'll basically build out the content this way. So this is typically where all the course content goes. These top levels are called sections and subsections, and they're essentially containers, like a folder structure for the content. The learners have to actually click on that to get to like a page of content. The tabs across the top, those are also configurable to a point. So many of them persist, and you can't get rid of them. So course is going to persist. Progress is optional. The dates does persist, I'm pretty sure. Discussion is optional. Course information I manually added. And the instructor tab will only show up if you have the staff role in a course. This page, I haven't put so this is a great place to put content that you want, kind of like a course syllabus type of content. You want this content to be readily available, easily accessible. You don't want to necessarily bury it within the course outline, like in an introduction. It's better to be here because from any page in the course, the learner can access this top menu bar so they can click course information. So what's very common to put here would be like the course overview, the grading policy, is there a certificate, who the instructors are, photos of the instructors, links to their work, whatever. So build this out a little bit. So if you go back to your course in Studio, we're now going to go to Content, and we're going to go to Pages and Resources. So just very quickly, so there's a lot of stuff on here, which we're not going to cover today, but high level, I can kind of go over. Grading in your course, you really should keep this going. Like, I wouldn't hide this. There's no reason to hide it. This tells learners how they're doing on their different assessments, how close they are to passing the course. So I would just sort of leave that. The discussion, we here, and we will experiment with that later, but that's the forums. Teams. This is actually a really cool feature. Came out years ago. I don't think many people use it. If you're curious about it, we can try it out later. the end. But basically what Teams is, it's a very small structured version of discussions. You can cap the number of people that can join. You can be very controlling in terms of, like, as the instructor, you will place people into teams, or people can self-select going into these teams. And it's really just like a more private discussion area. So a good use case for that is if you have people working together on a group project, or like in K through 12 project-based learning, they would use something. The wiki is another feature that you can add that some people like to have. If you're having a more mathematically inclined course, you can turn on the calculator feature and have that going. You can also incorporate Zoom and Big Blue Button, I think it is. Yeah, I think it's Big Blue Button. You can basically incorporate that more easily into your course to have sort of live video sessions. Textbooks is just another way of adding PDFs, you know. And then custom pages we're going to go to right now, and then open response assessment settings. That's sort of more advanced. Quick overview. These are some of the options available to you that we can go back and look at later if we like. But let's go ahead and go to custom pages. So you click on the little, get to that page. And you click the new page up here on the right. Now we're going to edit course information, or it's going to be called page or something. So you're going to want to change the name to something like course information, course syllabus, you know, whatever works for you and your organization. And I'll just kind of go through some things here. So put an introduction, welcome to the course. Here is a description, you know, just like sort of placeholder text. And then you could put information about the instructor. So again, more placeholder text. And then you could put in grading policy. And so on and so forth. There will be one quiz. You sort of get the idea, okay? So go ahead and just type in it's kind of like this, because now we're going to go back and format it appropriately. Okay? So one of the things you might notice at the very top is this drop down under paragraph, and then there's like header 1, 2, 3, 4. And it goes down actually to header 6. That's a lot of headers. And then there's like a paragraph, and then there's formatted. Really do any of the text? Any thoughts, ideas? Yeah. It's definitely identifying a hierarchy. Absolutely. So the reason for the hierarchy is twofold. One is so here, I'm going to go ahead and highlight the sort of title, and I'm going to change the formatting to say header 1. And then let's say this is like a subheader, so I'll make this header 2, and then grading policy. I'll also make that a header 2, and then I'll make sure that this text here is paragraph text, which it is, and this is paragraph text, and this is paragraph text. Okay, so going along the lines of best practices. So the reason for this feature is for accessibility requirements. So when a screen reader comes along, if it's like text isn't tagged a certain way or isn't identified a certain way, the screen reader is just going to be like, blah, 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 you know, it'll just like roll all the text together. Whereas to identify this is a header 1, this is the next level header 2. The screen reader for the vision impaired person or whoever is using it will have much better information about how to interpret the text on the screen. So it's definitely a best practice to at least at the very minimum make your titles all heading 1 and your paragraph text paragraph for accessibility requirements. I don't know what they are in South Africa. They're really strict in the United States, so we're always like sort of pushing that hard. Are there accessibility requirements in South Africa that you know of?
No, probably not. States where it's
you get sued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in the States it's similar, like accessibility requirements are kind of depending on what contract you're
Yeah.
like if you're doing something with state funding, you definitely have to
Yeah.
like some level of accessibility, because if it's private and you can create your own accessible website, that's what you want to do.
In South Africa, tertiary institutions have more frameworks, lower grades and so forth. It's more like the tech producers are ahead of what the government is willing to provide. So you don't find a lot of regulation, but what's become quite evident in both high school and higher education is like the community starting to self-regulate. So you've got now inclusivity specialists that are coming in. For example, now, we've just had an audit done for accessibility, and then the next recommended piece would be to bring it in, but it's not heavily regulated for now. It's more optional.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I also think that it's never a bad idea to make our content accessible, right? Like, it doesn't take very long, and it's sort of built into the system. So, okay. So while we're here, let's go ahead and look at some of the other features and just kind of make sure everyone's, understands them. So it's a pretty straightforward, WYSIWYG editor. But let's go ahead and add an image. So let's say you want to add a logo at the top for your branding. So halfway down the toolbar, there's a little picture icon. Go ahead and click on that. If you click on the bottom, upload a new image, you can just pull something off your laptop. No one's going to see it. Doesn't matter what it is. It can be your family, your pet, whatever, some or logo. And then go ahead and add it. I'm just going to use the logo I already have added. And then you're going to click next, or for you adding a new one, it's going to sort of prompt you for alt text, which again is an accessibility best practice to describe your images. So again, if it's for decorative use only, like, I don't know, it's a picture, doesn't really add any content support to that page, you can check off and not worry about it. But something that is related to the content, especially a chart, and I've got other thoughts on that. Like, I think if you're going to have a graphic of a chart and it's really important to the content, maybe have a version of it that's fully readable, like a text version. But in any event, I'll just put in here the Open edX logo and the alt text. Go ahead and click Save. And if I want to center it, if I select it, I can use the centering button here in the middle. I can make it a bit smaller. You can resize on the fly, which I think is also really nice. If it's too big, you can just change the size. And then if you want to add a link, that is right next to the picture icon. So if you wanted to add a link back to your organization, I don't even know, what is the Axum's URL these days? Axum, is it Axum? It is Axum. Okay, thank you. Okay. Axum. And another best practice here is when you are adding a link, go to that drop down at the bottom and choose New Window, because otherwise the link will open up in the existing window that the learner's in, and they might get a little lost and confused. So remember to choose New Window and go ahead and click Save. And then once you're done, you have your image, you have a link, you have some text, it's all accessible, then you go ahead and click Save. And unlike other parts of Studio, there's no Publish button here. By clicking Save, it's saved. And then you can click View Live if you want to see what your page looks like. So again, this will open in a new window, and you'll get to see the latest version of your course. And if you click on course information at the top, you should see your page. It looks good. All right, everyone get that far? Questions?
I'd rather just flash.
Okay.
Because I missed an important part. And I have an emergency going on, so I'll
Okay.
keep on coming in and
All right,
out.
sounds good. I'm happy then. You guys good? Okay.
Yeah.
You're good? Are you still loading?
Loaded.
Oh,
perfect.
yay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Are you dated?
Yeah, they keep on calling me, so.
It's annoying when the day job just keeps getting in the way. Exactly. Okay, so those are custom pages. You know, other ideas for custom pages is some courses I've seen, like I've done some work with like MIT, you know, they'll have a long list of faculty that need to be included. So this is a good place to put like a faculty list. You have their photos, their bios, you have links back to where they are. That's another good idea. Another best practice is if you just want to have a general resources page, like extra readings for the whole course, that would be another good place to do it, unless you want to put it in the course outline because it's relevant to that. But in any event, that is extra pages. So let's go back to our course in Studio. So you'll notice now there's a lot of jumping between windows, and every time you view live, it's going to pop open a new window. So if it gets overwhelming, just close them. We only need, you know, one or the other. Okay, and let's go back to content outline. So just as a quick review, because again, I don't know how much everyone knows about Studio, I'm just going to kind of talk through what is what in the different areas. So for the course outline, which I talked about, this is where all the content goes. A quick review would be the section is the top, and you guys can do this, you can follow along and create a new section. Would be like the top level folder, it could map to like a chapter. You could consider like section is like a chapter, and then the subsections would be like lessons within the chapter. So I'll go ahead and create a chapter 3, and you can go ahead and practice doing this. And then the subsection could be like lesson 1 in chapter 3. And then once you've created that, then as you know, if you click on the lesson, then the next option, the third level down, is for unit. And this is where you'd actually create a page to hold all the course content. So think of a unit as like a page, and the sections and the subsections are like the folders that organize the pages of content. So from here, we have the name unit is still up here. So it's also best practice to rename these default names. Otherwise, learners will come in and see like section, subsection, and unit. It's like meaningless to them. So from here, let's go ahead and just call this lesson 1 unit, whatever, or I'll just do intro. And this is where you would add the different level of content. Okay. So I'm going to just do a text. We'll do a text together just to get caught up on that. So let's add some text. You choose the text option. And by the way, you should only have 6 buttons. Don't panic. I have an extra one, and I'm going to show you how to get that extra one in a minute. But when you see that green bar, there should only be 6 buttons showing. So what you'll notice about the text component, and again, this is putting content within the course now, it looks identical to the custom page, right? It's pretty much the same thing. So if you learn one, you can do the other. So again, I'm going to call this, I'm going to rename this text to introduction. And course, here are the learning objectives. Describe, blah, 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 outline. Using Bloom's taxonomy, as every good learning designer does, and just put in some sort of practice text in here, and then the other thing I want to show you with the editor is you can also do lists, really nice bulleted lists, which used to not be so nice. So I show that off because it used to be a lot harder. So this is just an example of how you would put text into your course that would be available through the course outline. Then when you're done, go ahead and click Save. I know I'm going a little fast, but I know some of you already know Studio. At this point, to save our work, we're going to publish. And now we're going to view live version again. So now in your course outline, you should have your new section, you should have your subsection, and then when you click on it, it should take you to that text, which it's over here on the right. And then you should still see course information at the top. Okay? Everyone get that far? We're just adding basic text? Okay, great. Okay, who's ready to go to the advanced components, the advanced page? Okay. All right. Has anyone been in the advanced settings before you even go there? I know you have, David. Has anybody else?
Yeah.
You have? Okay. What have you done in advanced settings, just generally speaking?
I don't actually remember. I looked around and we were editing some of the rules around the courses.
Yeah.
As far as I remember.
Yeah. So a friend of mine who used to work at edX and used to help me with training back in the day, she used to nickname this area, she's like, this is kind of like the section of the Harry Potter dark arts. You know, like you can come in here and do all kinds of stuff. You don't always know what's happening. It has definitely been cleaned up since then. But I do want to try turning on the word cloud, and I'm going to show you how to do this. So the word cloud is this X block. To make it show up in Studio, you actually have to type in, ignore the UBC thing, I'm gonna get rid of that. But you have to type in that syntax exactly. So you gotta type in the double quotes, the word, the underscore, the cloud, that's all gotta be lowercase, and instead of N with the double quotes. So go ahead and type that in. And then go ahead and click Save Changes.
So that would be literally the same.
Yeah.
Do you have to tab it? Okay.
Just hit enter when you're done.
Okay.
Yeah. And then to test to see if it actually worked and came through, we're going to go back to content outline. And I'll just go down to here. An intro. And now you should have 7 buttons. And one of them says advanced. And then we're going to click on advanced. And there's one option, which is a word cloud, no surprise. And choose that. And then now you can set up your word cloud. So I'm going to click edit. So right now, I'm going to change the display name to something that's whatever you want. And then the inputs, we're going to change to, you can have 5 if you want. I usually go with 3 because, why make people come up with 5 things? You can have instructions. So, 3 words that describe your training experience, or whatever it is that you want. You could put a maximum number of words that are going to be displayed. Depends on how big your. So if you are if you're running like a MOOC and there's like thousands and thousands of learners, this can get a lot. So that's a good reason to have a cap. But if you're just running smaller courses, there's no reason for that. And then you can show like the percentage of people who use that word. So go ahead and click Save. And so if you're going to do something like this, again, I suggest having you and your colleagues pre-populate this before the course goes live. Otherwise, it's not a lot. You don't have to, but you can. So I'm going to sing some praises here. So anyway, we're going to save this, and then we're going to, well, you can do it in Studio. You could also do it in the live version. I'll just do it both places. So this kind of shows you what it would look like, but then if you go ahead and publish, you can look at it from the learner perspective. I'll go ahead and click preview. And no, so learners didn't see that, so that's interesting. I'll show up there. Okay. Does that work for everybody? Yes, you're lit.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Just,
Okay.
I'm trying my best to stay locked in, but the mind is just all over the show.
Yeah, I can understand that. So, did that work for you guys over there? You good? Okay. And did you get your word cloud going?
Yeah, but I guess I have responsive problem probably.
Oh, okay.
So,
Try publishing it and viewing it live and doing it from the student side. So, okay. Yep.
There you go.
So the purpose of this would just be, maybe to create like some, it's almost part of the social community.
It's like an active learning
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah.
So,
Because it would all the resulting words be collated for the
Yes.
whole course.
yeah. So if you have a course of, how many people do you normally have in a course? Like,
Like maybe a few thousand.
okay, yeah. So that would work for this, and then you can. So an example could be you were talking about training. It's under the influence, right?
Yeah, so it's on wine and hospitality.
So you could be like, we just had a wine tasting. I'm just making this up.
Yeah, yeah.
This is what I would do.
Yeah.
We just had a Pinot Grigio wine tasting. What flavors did you detect in the wine?
Yeah.
I'll put it up here.
Very cool.
I'm just
That's very cool.
making it up, but yeah, something like that. What I like about it, it doesn't take long to set up. It's, as you saw, very quick and easy. I wouldn't use it everywhere, but every now and then it's it's a quick win. I'm always looking for the quick win. So. Okay. Let's see. This is sort of a good transition point. In the last session, I did give people a 5-minute break, so I fully intend to do that again. So why don't we take a quick 5-minute break, bio break, water, coffee, whatever, and come back in 5, if that works. I'm going to start closing all these windows.
Great groups.
What?
Dave got me internet so I can show
Oh.
mock data on
Yeah.
aspects.
Perfect.
So, yes.
Yay, thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
But as at least from our perspective, is we want to try and find ways to engage more with learners beyond just the sort of go through video, go through text, do an assessment. So any of those tools, I like, and the word cloud's like quite a cool example. It shows that individuals can contribute to an answer, and the collective, kind of adds up and aggregates into quite a nice visual.
Yeah.
But any of those tools, more on the sort of social engagements, community engagements kind of tools, that those are really interesting.
Okay,
If you've
yeah.
got time.
And there are a few more. So I was planning on covering the discussion forums now.
Yeah,
We'll
cool.
speak to that, so we'll
Perfect.
cover that. There is another tool that is not enabled on this platform, but I have a screenshot of it, and I can
Cool.
describe it to you, which I think you'll like. It's another one of my favorite things. I got a few of my favorite things. And
But there's
that's
so many of these hidden gems, I think, in the platform.
exactly.
Yeah, because it's such a big beast. But
Yes.
there's lots of little gems to uncover.
So I do have these gems somewhere, and so one thing I did was I put together a training manual for the morning session. But I am so if you email me at morrislearningdesign@gmail.com, I can send you this training manual. You can share it with your colleagues. It's a quick start guide, like how to begin and how to get
Yeah.
going and all that. So you're welcome to use that. I will do my homework and come up with a list of these third-party sort of tools you can turn on the back end. Sometimes an administrator will need to add that
Yeah.
XBlock to the system, but it's good to know what's there.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what's there, you don't know what to ask for.
Yeah,
So,
it can become part of a roadmap that you aiming towards. It doesn't all have to be switched on.
exactly, yeah. So let me make, I was just talking to David about that too, like in the documentation, where I could find that. So I will put together the XBlock list and I will email that to all of you as well. So we will also cover peer instruction, and I'll just do a screenshot of that. I'll talk about it from my screenshot. Okay.
Thanks
Right.
so much.
Yeah. No, great question, and that's really the goal for this session. Okay, so let's go back to Studio. So the discussions, so all the course content, as you notice, we've been adding in Studio. The discussions are a little different. Now, to add a discussion, you actually need to do it from the learner side. So if we go ahead and click View Live Version, and then if you go ahead and click on Discussion, let's, I already added one in here, but let's go ahead and add a new discussion, and you can call it Lesson 1, Unit 1, you know, whatever it was that you built. So we'll go ahead and click Add a Post. And there's always this option, is it a discussion or is it a question? And I'm always like, well, I'm not sure what the difference is, but some course teams are very specific about this. So like, one example would be a discussion question tends to be a more open-ended question that's related to content, right? So, I'm trying to think of something open-ended, you know, is Pinot Grigio dry or white? I don't know, or dry or sweet. But something more open-ended that isn't necessary, you know, that would be more of a conversation. The question flag tends to be more like for technical support questions or course support questions. That's how I've seen course teams differentiate between the two. So it's I think, a best practice. If you're going to have a discussion forum, in addition to your content discussions, you also have a section for learner support. And in there you could be like, this is how you get learner support, and people can post technical questions there. So just for the purposes of now, let's go ahead and leave the choice of discussion. And the only difference between the two is the icon. The functionality is the same. It just tells the learners what type of question it is. So in this topic area, if you click the drop down, you should have at least one topic area in there because we created one section together. So you can go ahead and choose that, the lesson 1 intro or whichever one it was from the drop down. And then we'll do a title, lesson 1 intro, and typically the first post is introduce yourself in the course, right? That's pretty common. And then you could type, so that's the title that's going to show up, and then this is where the prompt actually goes. So this is where I could say, please share your first name, where you're from, just some introduction. And you'll notice that here in the discussion, you could also add a link. So you could say to people, you know, oh, if it's more corporate or type of training, like link to your company or, you know, whatever. You could also add an image. So you could have people be like, share your photo, you know, again, depends on what you want to do. But there's different ways to build community using these other tools by sharing an image and all that. And then we're going to go ahead and click submit. And so now you have your discussion question. And if you, and you can see it over here on the right. Did everyone get that far? Okay. So few features that you can do. So from here, let's say I'm a learner and I come in, or actually I'm an instructor and I come in, and I can see this, I can add my response, be like, hi, I'm Ildi, you know, whatever, and then hit submit, so that's my response to the prompt. And you could also like star things, and again, these are features that like learners, I'm pretty sure, can star and thumbs up, but they can't do all the things that are going to show up here. So go ahead and add a response to your prompt just to kind of see that. Just add some more feedback here. Okay. So when you're done with that, let's go ahead and add a new post, and I want you to choose a different option in your drop down. So let's make it a question. And under topic area, leave it at general, okay? And this title is going to be technical questions only. So this could be, you know, they're having issues with a course technically. Okay, go ahead and click submit. Okay, so what did you notice about when I added that last discussion? It popped to the top, right? Okay, so that's fine, you know, I don't mind it being at the top. But what if I did mind it being at the top? Like, how might I try to work around that? Or maybe I wanted to pin this discussion here. So just to kind of show you, I think let me go ahead and click on this. A best practice would be discussions that you want to keep at the top, you should pin them there. Otherwise, if a lot of people start adding posts, you run the risk of them being pushed down the hierarchy and then they get lost at the bottom and then learners can't find them. So if you click over on this little menu bar, so you see the add response, the thumbs up, and the star, there's a little dot thing. That's what the pin means, is it'll now pop it to the very top, and it even supersedes that general one, okay? So now that's going to persist at the top, and anyone who comes along and, you know, adds more discussions, that'll still stay there. So that's something to keep in mind when you're creating new posts. Other things you can do just to sort of manage. So as a discussion forum moderator, and by the way, there's a specific role as a discussion forum moderator in the LMS. So you don't always have to give people course author access to have the ability to moderate the discussions. They can, so they'll have the ability to see this menu bar, but they're not staff. So you could still go in and edit. Let's say somebody types in something inappropriate or wrong. You can go in and you can edit their post. You can also delete their post. So there are editing tools available for people with the right level. Make sense? Is that good? All good? And I think, you know, just something to note about discussion forums. So what we used to see at edX was if you could get 15 in a MOOC, which is different from, you know, more like hybrid type courses, but if you could get about 15% of people to participate in discussion, that was pretty good. So don't feel disheartened if you set up a discussion and you don't get a lot of activity. It tends to be lower participation because, you know, people they're shy or whatever. Now, if you're running a course that is smaller, it's more of a workshop, you know, there's going to be a lot higher engagement, so maybe your kinds of courses that are working more intimately and closely with students, they'll be more comfortable posting. So I would expect higher engagement rates for that.
So what's also quite useful, what we've seen is where you can embed discussion question into a unit.
Yeah.
So then it becomes almost like an assessment.
Yeah. So let's.
It's scary if you can't support that, but it's been really useful for us to get engagement.
So I think that changed very recently.
Not possible anymore.
I don't think so. I was
We might not upgrade then.
Yeah, I was surprised as well. Because, yeah, so if I go back to Studio, there used to be, as you know, a discussion button, and it's not there anymore. So I think that is or can we enable it to show up here?
It should be available at the unit, like you should be able to toggle it as a unit setting to enable discussions for this unit.
Okay.
In the course outline, right?
This is the course outline.
The studio
It's a setting like the little.
Yeah, let me
the
go.
little-
The 3 dot thing.
Yeah, let's look right now. So,
Yeah, I think you're right too.
yeah, that's a good. I'm glad you're here, Dave. Let's see. Oh, configure.
I think unit.
Yeah.
So that
One
that's
toggle
the.
down.
Because I can't get to the unit. I have to
Yeah,
go
right there.
here.
Where's this? This is discussions name, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right there.
So
Okay, good.
So that will automatically, like, what was happening was that people were, like, every unit would do this sort of thing, and then you add your one discussion at
Right.
the bottom, and you give a name, whatever, and it was easier just to say, yeah, I mean, we can discuss this unit. Also, the idea being that we could allow you to also change where you're discussing it.
Yep.
But in any case, yeah, so,
So I didn't see it here, configure,
yeah, configure.
and then it's just the visibility. Let's try the subsection level.
Well, there's actual, I did work on this particular one, but there's, there is documentation for this. I will find it.
And there
Okay.
are a few conditions for it to appear. Automatically, it's already entered by default.
I'm sorry, say that again?
There are a few conditions basically. I don't remember the conditions exactly, but enabled by default. If you add a discussion for that specifically. So you have added a discussion for lesson 1 intro, right?
Yes.
So it's enabled by.
So it should show up when you're in the lesson, it should show up there as well.
And there are a few other conditions which
Okay.
I don't remember now.
Let's validate.
So it's been keeping normal if I'm getting anything off. If I'm going off piste.
No, no, it's good.
This is kind of interesting.
It's all good. Publish. Let me just go to chapter 3.
So it should be in the pages and resources. Under
Oh, it's over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Let me just look at this very quickly. Chapter 3. Okay. Don't see the discussion here. Let's see. Down to quiz.
So under content, pages and resources.
Yeah, it's good.
Discussion.
edX. So it says edX new. Should we do edX discussion?
so try going to the settings.
Unless you click next.
Oh, sorry, next. Do next.
Oh, there we go.
Enable discussions on units in graded subsections. Okay, confirm. Group and context discussion at the subsection level. Okay, I'll just say yes to everything, except no anonymous posts. And cohorts not doing. Okay, let's see what happens.
Oh, I'm sorry. This inline. It's on the right now. See the discussion tab on the top right. It should be like I'm sorry. There's a button on over the next button on the right side.
Oh, over here?
The sidebar.
Oh.
Yeah, with this thing, the sidebar is really not very visible.
Okay. There
but
it
yeah.
is. Thank you. Yeah, I would not have. So glad you're here. Yay. Okay. So all is not lost.
Yeah.
We can put it in there.
Okay.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
I believe, don't quote me, I believe that icon should only appear if there is a discussion. Not a post, but discussions enabled for that unit, I
Gotcha.
think.
Okay. So again, this is
This is a shiny new version, I will say that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're all sort of like, some of these are new, but that's good. So it didn't totally go away. You just have to like enable it on the back end. So excellent.
One sort of was that we could eventually have that sort of sidebar space as a sort of contextual space where we would have things that are about the content but that aren't like exactly the content. So discussions go on them, but you know, people have been proposing things. We summarize for students, so like, you know, like various things. So discussions is one of them. So eventually we want to make that into a public space where we can have different kinds of dialogues and programs that we want to talk about.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because I think sometimes we want it to be embedded in the flow versus kind of optional, contextual to go. Because the problem is like learners get used to a way of doing things and then there's suddenly a new thing and they don't know how to use it, let alone us as administrators.
Right. Well, and I like having the discussion on the same page as the content that you want people to talk
Yeah.
about, right? Like to have to go click somewhere else and then remember where you were and go back. So I think that's
It's interesting to know the reasons.
yeah. Okay, great. Problem solved. We have the best of all worlds, so that's great. Okay, I'm going to keep us moving because we wanted to look at some things. So let's do more engaging assessments. And just because they're under this category of assessments doesn't mean they have to be used as an assessment. They can just be used as an active learning opportunity. So let's go ahead and look at the drag and drop. So let's go back to Studio side, get out of the LMS side and back to Studio, into the course authoring, and go into your section. And we're going to click down into the unit level. And at the very bottom, we're going to click on the drag and drop. Okay? And again, I love that there's a sample in here already because you can sort of, you're not starting with a blank slate. You have something to play around with. You have an idea of how it's set up. So if you go ahead and just, you know, drag it places, we'll just try to move things around. This at the top, this at the bottom. This is basically how it works. You know. And so you'll notice that I'm dragging these items to an area. I'm getting feedback as I go along. And the options are, it can be within a certain area, and this is showing you how it's identifying that area. At this point, the areas are identified as squares or rectangles. You can't really identify in this drag and drop like circles. So when you're building it out and designing it, just think squares and rectangles. It'll be much easier. And then also, you know, there's many items you can drag. There's a few items you can drag. There's a lot of good options. And this one is actually ungraded. And at the bottom, you get feedback. Okay, so these are all the components that you can adjust for learners. So let's go ahead and click the edit button, and I will talk you through how to set this up. So you can change the title to be, practice session. There's two different modes. There's standard and there's assessment. So standard mode means as I was dragging those items, it was instantly correcting me, right? So you might want to do that. Or you could change the mode to be assessment, which means don't give me any feedback, don't tell me I'm wrong until I'm done dragging all the items, and then I click submit or whatever it is, and then it'll tell me what I did wrong. I personally prefer the latter. That's a personal choice. Totally depends what you're doing because I get easily distracted. So, maximum attempts, because again, we're going to make this ungraded, sort of a fun practicing. We're just going to leave that blank, but you can limit the attempts just like you can with assessment questions. Show answer, that would be some feedback that you can give. You don't have to do this. A lot of times this is kind of just not necessary, but you can set it up that way. Problem weight, it's always with a default to 1, but if it's not set to be graded, it's not going to be graded as 1, even if it says 1. You have to flag it that way. And then the problem text, this would be the instructions. So, I'll just say, drag the item to the right part of the triangle, and keep the heading. You can add more introductory feedback. You can do final feedback and explanation if you need it, okay? So the first screen, there's basically 3 screens to set this up. The first screen is like the general setup screen, just sort of the basic information about it. Then you click continue. This takes you to the second screen, which is the zones. And the zones think of as the background image. That's where you're going to be dragging the items to. So this is where you define what that zone is. So typically, you will pull in like a custom image, and this image can be from that files section within the course. You can refer to it. So you would have to go to the files page. You'd have to grab the studio URL of that image and put it in here, and that would change the background. And then you would have to give a description to meet accessibility requirements of what that background image is. So here's an example, one's already in there for the isosceles triangle. You know, if you were doing, you know, teacher training and wanted to, you know, recommend you know, classroom layout, or like how to, you know, where to place people in a certain seating structure, that could be a picture, and you could put a description of that there. You can choose to label the zones or not. Let's go ahead and choose display label names just so you can see what that looks like. And the borders, we'll go ahead and display those on the image and when dragging the image. Okay. So again, so these are the zones, and you'll see how they're defined is with width and height, or sort of X and Y. Now, I am not a math person, but I will try to map something here. So kind of think of it like this. So if this is your, you guys all see this okay? So if this is sort of your background image, and let's say the correct area that you want people to click is over here, you basically have to tell Studio how to draw that box based upon the X and Y axis. So, you know, this is, and then you also have to give the size of the box. So I hope I'm going to get this right. Sorry, I will project again in a second. So basically, in the example here, let's say this is 196 pixels wide, and then 178 pixels high, but you can configure that here on your screen. And then the, make sure I get this right, the X would be, I think would be here, that you would draw it, and then the Y would be, I think, down here. So basically, you're telling Studio how to draw the box and what the size is. Yeah, X would be 160 over and Y would be like 30 down, for example. Is that right? X is horizontal, Y is vertical. I get that right. So you're basically saying this is going to be, in this example, 160 across, and then Y is going to be about 30 down. And then it'll draw the box, and it'll base it. This will be like the pinpoint, and it'll make the dimensions based on the dimension that you see. Clear as mud? So that's why I say when you're planning this, it should be square-shaped or rectangular-shaped. It won't do circles very well. And if you want to play around, you can change them just to sort of see a little bit better how it works. So let's say I want to make the height, I don't know, make it smaller, 150. Okay, so you can go ahead and just change the height, it'll change it. And let's say I want to make this a little smaller, or move it up a little bit there, and then I want to make the width a little smaller over here, 160. So you can literally see, it gives a really nice preview, like how your changes will reflect on the screen. And then if I wanted to change, you know, the alignment, I could do that as well. But let's just, so go ahead and just change some of the values just to sort of see how it is. So if I want to move this over, So that's just sort of moving it over to the left and up. So that's sort of defining the background zone. So think of these as like the hot areas. This is where the draggable items are going to go. And then you can set how many there are and what the area is going to be and where they sit on it. You can also add additional zones, okay? But the main thing is that you do need to add a description for these zones for accessibility. So that's the background. And then the third screen is the actual draggable item. So what's nice is Studio will auto-generate text boxes. You don't have to like go make them somewhere and bring them in. You can just create new ones here. So you could define the background color or just leave it white if you want. You can also define the text color. Then you can also say how many items per zone. Like a lot of times people only want one item per zone, or it's okay to have more than one. So again, there's the text that goes here, and these are just auto-generated. So I can change this. Let's kind of see if that works. And because we identified earlier that there were only 3 zones, here it's going to show you these are the 3 zones, and then these are the draggable items, and you get to say where you want these draggable items to go, like which zone they're going to go in. Okay, so let's go ahead and just save that. And there's like a reset button down here. So if you want, we can publish and view live. And if you made any changes, you can see what that looks like for the learner. So here's the drag and drop. So again, this one should be able to go anywhere. But you can see the zones changed a little bit because I changed where they're going to be. And because I changed the mode to assessment, now I only get feedback at the very end, and I submit. So this is what it looks like, and boy, did I get them wrong. So anyway. So my suggestion is if you want to use this to play around with it a little bit, and I would start very simple, like maybe 1 or 2 zones, just make your rectangles and kind of be done with it. I've seen some that are very complicated, but I think just getting started, simple is fine. But yeah, so this is, I think, a pretty straightforward activity, and it can be graded or not. So,
it's quite a
thoughts?
good engagement on this problem. I mean, in our experience, like learners, it's more engaging than just the multiple choice of true and false.
Absolutely, I use this.
Spices things up a bit.
I use this all the time
Yeah.
for example, like if you're going to teach someone like a flow chart or something that's very visual, then to give them a blank one, be like, hey, drag those items onto it. I've also used it for like bucketing concepts, you know, and you know, so like does this concept belong in this area or that area? You can do that with multiple choice questions, but it's way more fun. So, yeah, those are great examples. Okay, I want to make sure you have some time, but I want to show you one more thing. I want to show you this peer instruction. And I'm just going to show you the screenshot because it's not set up right now. But let me get to it here. Is this it? No. So for those who are into education technology, and it might be a little, oh, you know, I deleted it. Because I'm like, we don't have it, I deleted it. Anyway, and who's heard of Eric Mazur? Anyone? He's like a Harvard professor. I don't expect you to have heard of him, you know. But he really was into this idea of peer learning, like how students learn from each other in a classroom setting. What does that look like, and so on and so forth. So the course team at University of British Columbia, who are like power users of Open edX, they built this X block called peer instruction based upon Eric Mazur's research, and particularly K-12. And so the way it works is, it is very visual. You can bring in a photo, but you basically ask like, so the example that's in the platform, which I can't show, but it's really cute, it's like a dog training example. So it shows, okay, there's a little bit of text about dogs, and these are the physical symptoms they show when they're under stress. Ears back, whites of the eyes showing, tail between the legs, you know, sort of some key. And so there's a little paragraph that says, you know, this is what you should look for. And then it shows pictures at different states of dogs at various stages of distress. And then you have to decide which picture shows a dog under distress versus having fun or playing or whatever. And so it can be set up to be right or wrong, but it can also be set up to be more nuanced, which is what's kind of cool about it. So people could be like, well, in this picture, the dog could be stressed because it's, you know, its ears are back, but its tail is up in the air, and I'm not really sure. So it basically gives an opportunity for learners to read content, have a choice of answers. They choose their answer. They write a short paragraph justifying their answer. Then, before they submit, they get to see how other people have voted. So just like in a class where you're like, how many people this? And so they see a bar chart that says, okay, so far, 50% of the class has said A is dog is under stress, 25% said B, 25% said C. They have a chance to change their mind based upon what their peers did. And then if they still decide not to, they can go ahead and submit their response. But it gives a learner some insight into how other people have responded before they respond themselves. And it's very engaging, it's really fun. And I think it's underused. I think it should be used more because it's actually easy to set up and a great way to get learner interaction, but it's all anonymized. So they're not like embarrassed about being wrong or their name doesn't show up. It's all anonymous, but it's very engaging. So that's peer instruction. You can have your administrator installed on the back end and then you put in UBCPI and publish. Okay, before we transition over to aspects, and by the way, who's been around long enough to know what came before aspects? Just curious. This is, other than you, David, other than Lloyd. So I don't even remember what it was called. It was called Insights, right?
Insights, yes.
Okay, so there used to be report. It was basically report on the courses, in level, like learners in level of engagement in the courses, going very deep. So going into videos, assessments, text, and for a variety of reasons, it needed to be revamped. And so that's actually what Chelsea's been working on a lot lately. And so she wants to show it to you and also field questions and get feedback on other things about it because it's also a shiny new feature, right?
Yes, would love feedback.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, so that's okay. We'll transition over to that, and then we'll have a few minutes at the end for questions if you guys still have some questions.
I'll try and go 5, 10.
Yeah, well, you have, yeah, 10 would be fine. No problem. Okay. Do you want to show when you're shooting? Okay, great.
I know that it works thanks to Dave.
Okay.
Oh, I might actually need a mic.
Yeah, I'll give you one.
Thank you. Thanks. Sweater. Great. Awesome. Thank you. All right. All right. So, from the LMS, are we on the LMS? I don't remember where we left off.
PowerPoint. Yeah, no, so let's actually go to the LMS. And we want to go into the instructor tab, which is the instructor dashboard.
We don't have it up on this. Well, I can.
Yeah,
That's
so
helpful.
we want to be like the View Live version, which is the
Okay.
LMS version, yeah. So that's the View Live.
Yeah, I can bring it up.
And then you go to dashboard.
Actually, the last tab is called Instructor. Yeah,
Okay.
Instructor, yep.
Yeah, I'll pull it up. I think I'm staff on this account. All right, so on the instructor tab, you should see a reports button. If you go ahead and click it, you'll probably see maybe some stuff filled out, maybe not a lot of stuff filled out because, hold on a sec, let's see if I can pull it up for you.
You're not going to see much because you're the only one in there.
You haven't had any learners do anything yet.
Yeah, but just to know how to get there, it's from the instructor dashboard reports. That's
Yes. So essentially, Aspects is a plugin that your site operator can elect to add to your OpenEdX instance. And if you are staff on a course, you'll see that reports tab. If you're staff on a course on an instance where you have an Aspects plugin installed, you'll see this reports tab, and under here, once you start to have some data for your course, you'll start to see some information about what's going on in your course. So luckily, I have a fake course set up over here. So you can see what it actually looks like when you start to have learners playing around in your course. So from the reports tab, you have a course dashboard, you have an at-risk learner dashboard, and you have an individual learner dashboard. So this course dashboard is really sort of the model for the other two dashboards, which are essentially filtered views of what you're seeing here. So you have enrollment information. So you have, if you were to be on an instance where you have verified track, right? People are paying for certificates. Maybe you call it certificate track, or I don't know, paid learners, maybe. You'd be able to sort of see the breakdown of enrollments for your course at any given time. The data is near real time for Aspects. And then you'll also see the rate of enrollment over time, which in doing a lot of research with course designers or course authors, course delivery team members, the reason we decided to include this was it gives people a good indication of maybe where their learners are coming from, and maybe certain marketing techniques, maybe word of mouth happening. You can kind of pinpoint if you know about it and you see big spikes of enrollment during a certain period of time. The cool thing about Aspects is you can actually, and also feel free to interrupt me if you have questions at any time. You can actually, it's a little bit more interactive than what people who have used Insights potentially might be used to. Maybe you're interested in, I want to know what the growth of learners in my course is over the past week. You're able to adjust what you're seeing and have the charts respond, right? I can look, oh, this week here definitely was my biggest bit of growth in this course. What happened there? I'm curious where these people are coming from. You can also, on any visualization in Aspects, download any chart or visual as either a table. So maybe you want the CSV information, a CSV of the information that generated that table. Maybe you want to crunch numbers, maybe you want to sort things, but you can also download any of these as images. Maybe you're making a PowerPoint presentation about the rate of enrollment in your course over the length of the course, for instance. You're also able to say I'm only interested in verified learners, or maybe I'm only interested in audit learners, if I have those different tracks for my learners. You can click on one part of an Aspects dashboard and have it sort of responsive on the other. Is it working today? Maybe not, but the idea is when you click on verified, it should filter the other dashboards you're seeing. I'm actually not sure why it's not working at this very moment.
Because it's not demo.
Exactly.
Demo bots.
The minute we leave.
It'll just immediately update.
Demo bots.
It'll be perfect, yeah.
Maybe you're more interested in engagement. So once you've dove into your enrollment, You can also look at engagement. So maybe I'm interested in which pages or units, since we just built a course, which units my learners are looking at. You can see view information here. You can see view information over time over here. Maybe I'm only interested in this subsection. I can click on it and see only views for that subsection. Up here, a little more experimental, but we have this type of graph, an engagement graph for page views. A page view in Aspects is basically anytime a learner has gone to a page in a course and it's loaded. We can't know if a learner has read content, unfortunately, but this is what a page view is in Aspects events. And essentially, what we've tried to do here is map all course content sequentially, with the idea that with a real course, this is fake data, you could identify those parts of the course where your learners are dropping off. We've done the same thing for problems as well as videos. So these are not individual videos, these are video, page, and problem engagement per section or subsection of the course sequentially. If you want information, which I'm sure you do, about all of your problems or videos or pages, you just scroll down. For problems, we have information about the number of attempts each learner is doing on average, as well as correct or incorrect percentage. Some of the feedback I got when doing some user interviews was it's really helpful to people who are designing course problems to identify problems that might be too difficult for learners. Generally, there is some sort of threshold, maybe 70% correct, feels right for a lot of institutions. So you're able, in Aspects, to isolate on problems, sort by those that may be too difficult for your learners. Again, this is fake data. So let's pretend you have a problem that's 50% incorrect. Maybe you want to look at that problem, and you can actually, for videos and problems, you can actually say you do have a problem. Oh, maybe this is too difficult. I have 50% incorrect on this problem. You can actually click on that link there, and it will take you to that problem in Studio. Or I believe it, yeah, I think it's in Studio. Let's see. Will it work on the Sandbox? No. It's either in Studio or the LMS. One or the other, but it will show you what this problem is if you need your memory jogged. And then for videos, we have similar information, engagement over the course sequentially to see sort of where your learners are stopping watching videos. Which videos in your course people are watching, how many unique viewers do you have on each video in this course, how many total views. Looks like this fake course only has one video. But if there were more than one and you were interested in one, you could click on it and only see information for that video if that were of interest. And then this will show you partial views versus full views. Are people starting videos and then abandoning them? As well as the feedback I was getting in user research was, can I look at, this is a little bit confusing, open to feedback on this, but can I look at the length of my video? These here are timestamps, timestamp ranges in seconds at the bottom. Can I look at parts of my video that are watched over and over? Are they, maybe they're super valuable to learners, or maybe they're super unclear, those chunks of video. And then finally, we do have a little bit of performance information in Aspects. For the course dashboard, it's just who has met that pass threshold in the course, the number of learners who have met that pass threshold that you set for the course, as well as the distribution of course grade for your course. And then something that I think I'm particularly excited about with Aspects is that you also have 2 other dashboards. An at-risk learner dashboard, which essentially shows you the same data, but for a preset group of learners. Let me actually put this on a smaller course where I know there's data here. How are we on time? We're not good on time.
No, you've got a couple of minutes, yeah.
Okay, so basically, this shows the same data but for a preset group of learners who have who have enrolled in the course, have done something in the course other than land on the homepage, haven't visited the course in at least 7 days, and have not yet passed the course. And then you can also do the same thing for an individual learner if you're interested in exactly what one particular person is doing. Maybe they're struggling, they've reached out to you, you want to see how many times have they attempted this problem, maybe. But that's Aspects, and I'm happy to chat with anyone who has any questions or feedback after. Thank you. You're welcome.
A quick question about the at-risk learners. I was curious about that. Is that is it configurable to set the parameters?
My dream, when I came up with this idea, my dream was that we can eventually make it configurable. This initial release, we have a preset group, but I want to see if it's used. I want to see what the feedback is because I think it would be really powerful to allow people to define what at-risk means to them. Or maybe it's not even at-risk, maybe you can define something else. I want to see this group of learners.
Like inactive learners?
Inactive learners, right?
Yeah, it's really cool. We looked at something similar to like Raccoon Gang built something like this, but like ages ago, and it was really interesting at the time for us, but again, it was too early stage to be doing a lot of analytics. We first needed to actually get the basics right. So yeah, really interested to look at it. Apparently there's a more in-depth session later in the itinerary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning, there's a technical deep dive, and then tomorrow afternoon, I'm talking about just the feedback I use to create these dashboards.
Great, thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Well, I don't want to keep anyone over time, but if you still have other questions or things that you aren't sure about, I'm happy to hang around and chat. Otherwise, thank you so much for your attention and engagement, and good luck.
Yeah. It's just Murphy that we had a deployment today.
Oh, of course.
Of course. The timing is great.
Always something.
Yeah.
Always something.